The most dangerous messages of World War II were not whispered in dark rooms or tapped out in secret basements. They were baked into bread, stitched into laundry, sung on the radio, and chalked onto sidewalks in broad daylight. Enemy spies walked past them every day and never noticed a thing. That's the genius of it. When everyone expects secrecy to look secret, the smartest move is to hide in plain sight. This is a story about ordinary people doing extraordinary things with nothing but routine, habit, and a sharp sense of timing. Not soldiers, not generals, civilians, shopkeepers, homemakers, teenagers, people who turn daily life itself into a weapon of intelligence. This is the forgotten war front. By the middle of the war, enemy intelligence had learned a hard lesson. Anything that looked hidden usually was. Locked rooms, coded letters, strange symbols, all red flags. Mail was opened, radios were monitored, conversations were overheard, so civilians adapted. They stopped trying to hide messages and started disguising them as normal life. The safest message was the one that looked boring. You know, a routine grocery list could signal troop movement. And, well, a harmless note about the weather could warn of an incoming raid. The trick was consistency. Messages had to blend perfectly into daily patterns. No drama, no flair, just the dull rhythm of civilian life. And that rhythm became the code. One of the most effective civilian codes relied on words that meant nothing to outsiders. Phrases like "the washing is late today" or "the garden needs attention" carried hidden meanings agreed upon in advance. A delay meant danger. A healthy garden meant the coast was clear. These phrases could be spoken out loud, written in letters, or passed casually in conversation without raising suspicion. Enemy listeners heard small talk. Locals heard warnings. What made this powerful was flexibility. The same sentence could mean different things depending on context, time of day, tone of voice, location. A phrase said in the morning might mean safety. The same phrase at night could mean evacuation. Codes that lived inside language were almost impossible to crack unless you lived inside the culture. Radio broadcasts were another battlefield. Popular songs were more than entertainment, you know. They were signals. Certain songs played at certain times meant something specific. One tune could signal that an operation had been delayed, while another meant supplies were moving. To an enemy officer, it was just music filling the air. But to those in the know, it was a green light or a red warning. The brilliance here was deniability. Music was expected after all. Radio stations played requests all the time. Even if suspicion arose, there was nothing concrete to accuse anyone of. No code book, no cipher wheel, just a melody drifting through the static. It was intelligence without fingerprints. Sometimes the message wasn't spoken at all. Laundry hanging in a window could signal whether an area was safe. A white sheet folded a certain way might mean soldiers were nearby. Dark clothes could mean the road was clear. To a spy rushing past, it looked like someone doing chores. To the resistance, it was a living map. Shop displays worked the same way. The placement of items in a storefront window could indicate changes in patrol routes or supply shortages. Move the bread to the left, danger is close. Move it to the right, move fast. These signals were simple, fast, and disposable. If compromised, they could be changed overnight. Children were often overlooked, and civilians knew it. A child skipping rope or delivering errands attracted no attention. A chalk mark on a wall drawn as a game could be a navigation sign. A hopscotch pattern could mark a safe path. Even the way a child whistled a tune could carry meaning. This wasn't about turning kids into soldiers. It was about using the invisibility of innocence. Enemy forces were trained to watch adults. Children slipped through the cracks of expectation. That blind spot saved lives. What made everyday codes unbeatable was, well, psychology. Spies, you know, they expected complexity. They were always on the lookout for patterns that felt clever. But these systems, they were clever because they weren't flashy at all. Instead, they relied on habits people already had, like doing laundry, singing songs, or just talking about the weather. There was no dramatic moment to intercept, no single message that gave everything away. Intelligence was spread thin, fragmented, and honestly just woven right into life itself. Even if one message was noticed, it meant nothing on its own, and that's how civilians managed to outsmart the professionals. It's easy to romanticize this, but make no mistake, the risk was real. If discovered, civilians faced arrest, prison, or worse. There were no uniforms to protect them, no recognition, no medals, just quiet courage. They trusted memory over paper, community over hierarchy, subtlety over force. And in doing so, they proved that intelligence doesn't belong only to armies. It belongs to anyone who understands people. These wartime tricks weren't just clever for their time, they're timeless. They show how power flows through culture, routine, and shared understanding. In any era of surveillance, the most effective signal is the one that looks meaningless. That's the lesson the forgotten war fronts teach us. History isn't only shaped by battles and bombs, it's shaped by whispers, habits, and the quiet decisions of people who refused to be predictable. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden side of history, make sure you're subscribed to the Forgotten War Fronts. Share this story with someone who loves clever human history and keep digging with us. There are still secrets hiding in plain sight.